I'm going to start with number 25 because in fourth period I didn't get a chance to finish it. So I'm going to take out a 4, and I'd be left with 3x plus 2. Cross that off. If I want to help me with factoring, I can go like this. Circle the 3x, take that out. I'd be left with x plus 7. Now I'm noticing this is already getting a bit messy, so I want to make sure that I cross off the extra. Move that up. The only way to get 2x squared is 2x and x. The only way to get 7 is 1 and 7. I'll put the 7 there, the 1 there. 1x and 14x gives me the 15, so I'm good. Make sure that 7 looks good. I want to be able to do what I did above, but I noticed there's a 6 that can divide into all of them. Now this, I will do what I did up here. It's either 6x and x or 3x and 2x. A little hint, I have a 3x right there. So I'm thinking that's what's going to work. 3x times 2x gives me 6x squared. The only way to get 2 is a 2 and a 1. Since this is 3x plus 2, I'm guessing that's plus 2, and that's plus 1. Let's guess. C. 4, 3, 7. Good. I want to make sure I bring down the 6. Now I cross it off. All right, here's where I have to be careful, because this is already messy going into number 27. 3x plus 2, gone. 2x plus 1, gone. X plus 7, gone. Now when I look, I'm left with a 4 and a 6. And I see that both of those divide by 2. 3, 2. It's a nice thing about highlighting. And I look, that's all that I'm left with on top, and on the bottom I'm left with a 3x. There is a 3 here and a 3 here, but they're both on the bottom, so I can't cross them off. I'm only left with a 2 on top. 3x times 3 is 9x. Now I have to set the 9x equal to 0 to figure out my restriction. Comma, x cannot equal 0. And now I'm good to go. Number 29. It's only one number. I can't factor. This one is either 2s, 2s, or 4s and s. I'm actually not sure what to do with that one yet. I feel like this one's easier for me. So I'm going to take out a 2s, and then I'm left with s squared minus 4. Let me pause it. So I took out a 2s, but there's an s squared. So I have to know that square root. So 2s square root s minus 2, s plus 2. Now I'm going to cross this off, and I'm going to cross this off. Notice, if you're not organized, you will get messy. So I'm seeing an s and a 2, so I don't feel like it would be 2s because none of them match. So let's see, hopefully I'm right. Okay, I'm going to put the 2 here and the 1 here. This gives me an 8, and this gives me a 1. 8 minus 1 is 7, so that's plus and that's minus. This is being multiplied, so I can't factor there. Now I'm going to start crossing things off. So let's look. I have an s plus 2 and an s plus 2 gone. I see that there is a 12 and a 3, since they're both being multiplied. So that's going to be a 4, and that's just gone. I also see that this s was being multiplied, and that s was being multiplied. So those s's are gone. And now I'm going to do a quick survey. I have a 4, a 2, and an s minus 2. And on the bottom I have a 4s minus 1. So I can't cross anything off, because this 4 is being multiplied, and this is with the minus 1. So 4 times 2 is 8, s minus 2. And on the bottom is 4. Let me make that look more like an s and less like a 5. S minus 1. I need to set the restrictions, so I go 4s minus 1 equals 0, plus 1, plus 1. 4s equals 1, divide by 4. And then I get, comma, s cannot equal 1/4. Okay? All right. Number 33 is a bit crazy, so I think what I'm going to do is do this to the side. I can see that for 12 and 15, 3 divides. I guess I can do this over here. So this would be 3, 4, A, B. And this is 3, 5, B. So they both have a B, and they both have a 3. So I'm going to take out a 3B, and I'd be left with 4A minus 5. And then on the bottom, this looks like a hard one. I'm guessing, because I see a 4 right there, that it's 4 and 3. But this could either be 4, 3, or 6, 2, or 12, 1. But I'm going to hope on my first shot, especially since I'm using a pen, that it's 5 and 2. Let's see if I'm right. So that's 15, and that's 8. 15 minus 8 is 7. So that's minus, that's plus. I got lucky. Okay. Now I'm going to look over here. I'm going to play the same game here. So let's see. 3A, A. The only way to get 6 is either 3 and 2 or 6 and 1. I see that there's a 2 here, so I feel like that would work. Let me see. 2 and 9 does give me 11. I've been getting very lucky on this. And now for the bottom, 2AB, 2, 3B, 2B, 2B, so 2B, then I'm left with A plus 3. Okay, I know I didn't show that very clearly, I apologize. All right, let's write what's left. So 4A minus 5, crossing off. 3A plus 2, crossing off. A plus 3, crossing off. B on top multiplied, B on bottom multiplied, cross off. I'm only left with a 3 over 2. That simplified a lot. So my answer is 3/2, and there's no variable in the denominator. I'm done. Okay. I feel like number 34 is pretty similar, so I think I'm actually going to do not 34, but I want to do number 35. Okay. So when I do number 35, 3x and x, it's either going to be 2, 2, or 4, 1, 4, 1. For it to be minus, this is negative, this is positive, because negative 4 and positive 3. Now in the bottom, I feel like I should do 2 parentheses, but if I look, they all divide by 5. Now it's x squared plus 3x plus 2. I can keep going on this. 2 numbers that add to 2 and are multiply to 2 and add to 3. So I better cross that off. Now dividing, ooh, I should have circled that in the beginning. Dividing means I flip. So whatever I have on top is really going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to focus here. And I feel like it's going to be 3x minus 4. And 3 times 2x plus 3. Let's see if I'm right. Negative 8 plus 9 is positive 1. Let me show you what I did again. To get 6x squared, that's 3x and 2x. To get 12, it's 4 and 3. I looked over here as a little hint because I had already factored it, and I felt like that would match. So now that's done. And now the bottom, 2x and x. I don't really have a match here, so I'm just going to guess, let's see, 2 and 3 because those 2's would cross off. Let's see, 3 plus 4 is 7. So it's nice that this works out all cute. All right, now I can start crossing off. 3x minus 4, 2x plus 3, x plus 1, x plus 2. Wow, it's a lot that crossed off. The only thing I'm left with is a 5 on the bottom. But since the 5 is on the bottom, I need to keep it on the bottom, which means I write it as a fraction. So number 35 is 1/5, no restrictions. Okay. Let's jump to number 43. This seems like a simple one, but I really need you to pay attention to this one. I can't factor the top. I can factor the bottom. I can't factor the top, and I can't factor the bottom. Okay? But here's the issue. Let's look here. If you look at this here and this here, they are almost exactly the same, except this 3 is positive and this 3 is negative. This 2x is negative and this 2x is positive. So technically they're the exact same thing but opposite, which means I can cross them off and take out a -1. Because if I took out a -1, then this would be negative, that would be positive, then the 2x minus 3 match. So let me explain that. If I have 7 minus x and I have x minus 7, these are opposite and these are opposite. If I rewrote this as -1 parenthesis -7 plus x, doing the opposite, then now the x is positive, then 7 is negative, boom, I'm left with -1. Now what I need you to be aware of is if I have 7 minus x and 7 plus x, these two are opposite, but these are not. So that is the final answer. Careful of that. They all need to be opposite for you to take out the negative 1. So now I'm going to look through. I have 1x on top and 3 on the bottom. So I have 2 more on the bottom. And I think that's all I can do. Let me look. I'm left with a 2 and a negative 1 on top, which is negative 2. And then on the bottom, I'm left with a 3, a 9, and an x squared, which is 27x squared. Since I have an x in the denominator, I have to state a restriction where x cannot equal 0. Careful of 43. You know I'm putting that on the test. All right, let's look at number 44. Put it under 1. I think I can do this problem here. 2x, x. I'm good at this. I know that it's going to be a 9, so that's 10 and 1, but for it to be positive, it has to go like this. Cross it off. This one's a little bit easier for me. X plus, it is multiply, right? X plus 5, x minus 2. So far, I don't like that those two are on top. Hopefully, something can happen with that. 2x and x. The only way to get 2 is, let's do 2 and 1, because that's negative 1 and negative 4, which makes negative 5. All right. Now I'm going to start crossing things off. 2x minus 1, bye-bye. X minus 2, bye-bye. The only thing that I have left is x minus 5, and there's 2 of them. So my answer is x plus 5 squared, and there's nothing in the denominator, so there's no restriction. Okay. I'm going to do number 40 as well, just for good measure. When I look at number 40, I see that 2 and 10 and 48 are all even, so I can take out a 2. I also see that 2, 14, and 16 are even. I can take out a 2, which means I'm just taking half. Okay? Now, all these types of factoring are the same. 2 numbers that multiply, 2 numbers that add. 2 numbers that multiply, 2 numbers that add. So I'll start down here. Gone. 2 numbers that multiply, 2 numbers that add. Gone. 2 numbers that multiply. Oops, 6. 2 numbers that add. Done. Notice how I brought down the 2. So I've got to make sure I continue that as well. 2 numbers that multiply. 2 numbers that add. Okay. So, 2 on top, 2 on bottom, bye. X plus 8, gone. X minus 1, gone. X plus 6, gone. Oh my gosh, x minus 3, gone. I don't think there's anything left. So my answer is 1 with no restriction. Your homework is to make sure all of this is done. Remember, the answers are in the back, and if I made a mistake, you will definitely tell me.